Hello and welcome back to Typical City. Manchester City are cruising right now. Absolutely cruising. And I don't think we're playing that well, to be honest. But right now, Manchester City have got 11 wins in a row. Whether we're playing well or not, that is something that very few football clubs can achieve in truth. Because this team is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous to have such high standards for them. Which we do as City. We come to the games now and we watch Manchester City as City fans with the expectancy levels are so high that we expect to blitz most teams like comfortably. I don't think we played that well against Everton. I thought they played really well. Everton did, defended well, but we come away with a 2-0 win. Brentford was a little bit hit and miss. We allow them to take the lead, come away with a 3-1 win. Tonight, I thought we gifted them a way back into the game with an equaliser, but we didn't ever look like we didn't have control of that game. It always felt like throughout the whole game that we don't want to overexert ourselves too much. But if we need to, we will, and we'll batter you if we need to. So don't try anything, Copenhagen, because if we need to, we will step it up a gear and start putting you through your paces. But we never really needed to. And as much as I don't want to disrespect Copenhagen too much because they are a decent Champions League outfit, they beat United. I mean, again, I've said that already. That's not an achievement, is it, at the end of the day? But still, they got through that group that was supposed to be a difficult group with Galatasaray and Bayern Munich and Manchester United. So they are no mugs, and we made them look very, very average in that game. A game that I think most City fans would have gone into and thought that it would be quite a comfortable game. It turned out to be a comfortable game, but we did gift them an opportunity again, and that's a frustrating factor that's come out of so many of our games this season, where we've been dominating the game, playing really good football, and we just like, there you go, have a free goal on the house. A goal on the house, no worries, free of charge, gifted on a plate, silver platter, roll out the red carpet. I don't know how many more cliches I can come out with to suggest that Santa Claus FC, gifts are just being handed out by Manchester City this season far too frequently. And there has come games that's punished us already. I say it like we're going to get punished in future tense. Like if we keep doing it, we'll get punished. We have already been punished this season and dropped points from mistakes. That 4-4 Chelsea game was the biggest. There's just so many mistakes in that game that made Chelsea look like a better team, that were challenging Manchester City to make it 4-4. It was infuriating. But take nothing away from the fact that we have players in our squad that can do things like Kevin De Bruyne, who I don't think he had his greatest game either, to be honest. I don't think he played that well. But he comes away with technically 2 assists. Scott, in the chat, I can see you there, mate. Does it go down as 2 assists and a goal for KDB? It absolutely does. That second one was not an intentional assist, but it was. It was an assist from Kevin De Bruyne. A lovely assist for the first Kevin De Bruyne goal from Phil Foden. For me, I think Phil Foden gets man of the match. I think Phil Foden gets man of the match for his overall contribution to the 90 minutes. The individual moments from Kevin De Bruyne that will probably stand him as man of the match, or deserving of man of the match, because he's got 2 assists and a goal. Now, on paper, that's a man of the match performance, but I do think Phil Foden was a little bit more livelier in the whole course of the game. He was a constant threat. Kevin De Bruyne had so many corners that it was really wasteful. Some of his delivery into the box was a little bit wasteful. But it didn't need to be of the highest calibre today. That's the thing. We didn't need to play at our best to beat Copenhagen. And I think we are effectively through now. That third goal was vitally important. We saw Pep Guardiola's celebrations as Phil Foden puts it into the back of the net to make it 3-1. I think that speaks volumes to how Pep felt about the third goal and how important it was. And it does give Pep those options now for that second leg, which isn't till the 6th of March. Because before then, we've got 4 Premier League games and an FA Cup game to worry about. So you can forget the Champions League now. Put it to bed. Don't worry about it. We've got another month before we even play. Well, a bit less than a month before we play Copenhagen. So I wouldn't worry about that too much now. But when the time comes, Pep will know that the game is pretty much done. Because Copenhagen, the likeliness of them coming to the Etihad and scoring 3 goals without reply at the Etihad against this Manchester City side, I think Pep could, not play Kevin De Bruyne. play Nunes, start Nunes, maybe start Kovacic if he's fit. Phil Foden maybe needs a rest. Certain players that are just on the fringe right now. I'm not saying like throw on Jacob Wright and Sissoko and Michael Hamilton, who's no longer there, and Rico Lewis and all the youngsters that are on the fringe. No, because it's Champions League opposition and anything could happen. You never know. You've got to picture the worst case scenario and pay respects to Copenhagen as well. But I do think the third goal gives Pep some options now to rotate in that second leg, which could be proved to be hugely important for the whole grand scheme of the season when we need to think about energy levels in the games before it, because we've got a Manchester derby before we play Copenhagen. The game before Copenhagen is the Manchester derby. So Pep can go all in now for that Manchester derby without even thinking too much about that Copenhagen game, knowing that the game is more or less done, which is great news for the grand scheme of things. Speaking of the grand scheme of things, you're hoping that Jack Grealish injury isn't too bad. I felt for him. It was a heartbreaking situation because you could see it in his face. The guy was devastated, wasn't he? Devastated to be injured, because it was the sort of opportunity for Jack to prove himself, because right now he's up for a fair bit of criticism. I think I wouldn't be too wrong in saying that he isn't everybody's favourite player right now if you're a Manchester City fan. I think some people are I think the majority of people are more on the let's play Doku and not Jack Grealish. I don't want there to be a debate, by the way. I'd rather that let's just appreciate both players for what they are. But people who want to pick sides, I don't agree with picking sides because they're both City players. But most people are on the Doku side for the entertainment factor, which is fair enough. If I understand it, it makes sense because he is exciting. But Jack Grealish brings other things to the game that I think was needed in this game to slow the game down. I think there was Cooper in the chat, in the watch-along. I can't remember if it was him or not, but we were talking about the tempo of the game. It was very frantic to the point where it was actually disjointed from City at times in that second half, where it was pinging around the pitch too quickly with loose touches and loose passes. Whereas if we just slow it down a little bit and just wear them out, just wear the Copenhagen shape out until eventually holes start to appear, and then you can start picking pockets and finding those little through balls that can split open a Copenhagen defence. And Jack Grealish is really good for slowing the game down, almost too much at times, and I can see why people don't want the game to be slowed down, because they want to be entertained with high tempo frantic football, and that's Jeremy Doku in a nutshell. And he came on and he delivered that, Doku, in fairness to him. And not only did Doku deliver with frantic football, I actually felt like his end product was quite good as well, which I've been quite critical of lately. That pass, that decision, once he beats a player, well done for beating the player. He always seems to do it, always seems to beat his fullback. But then it's like, right, decision time now, Doku. Either pass it to a City shirt, get your cross into the back post, or have a shot. I felt like he was picking the right option more often than not, Doku, and that's great news because he's learning, he's finding his feet, and he's picking the right decision. He's got to keep that going now. There was an opportunity where he passed it to Phil Foden on the edge of the area. Foden's shot was deflected and out for a corner. There was an opportunity where he beat his fullback, and then he drills an effort that I was like, yeah, that there was not many options on, but the effort was decent. Forced a big save from Grabara. Really powerful effort from Jeremy Doku on its way into that top corner. Couple of opportunities where he got to the byline, dinking it to the back post. So I felt like it was a good impact from Doku, but really sad news about Jack Grealish, and hopefully that's not long term, because that was the perfect game for him to prove the doubters wrong, give City fans another player to celebrate as well as Jeremy Doku, not instead of, as well as Jeremy Doku. And then we're laughing. We've got a fully fit squad, but now we've lost a player that I think could prove to be vitally important for the last stages of the season when we need to rotate, and players like Doku need a rest, or Bernardo Silva but potentially needs a rest, or even Foden. We could play Jack Grealish in the middle. Those options are gone now. And as much as you might not like Jack Grealish, it's a bad day for him, which is a bit of a blow. But Kevin De Bruyne's finish as well to make it 1-0 was sensational, because the shot was so quick as well. It was a lovely ball from Phil Foden, finding that little channel on the outside to right into the path of Kevin De Bruyne. He doesn't need to break stride. The shot almost looked like part of his running motion, didn't it? There was no delay in his run. He didn't slow down his run to then pull back his leg to fire a shot away. his legs just carried on moving and bang, shot. And it was like, oh, he's shot. And it went boom, right into the bottom corner. And it took Grabara by surprise. And I think the speed in which he fired that shot off was a lot of the reason why it ended up in the back of the net. Which, that's De Bruyne in a nutshell. He's so clever, man. He's so, like, the footballing IQ is through the roof, man. He's so good. And but don't forget Phil Foden's assist. That was De Bruyne after that, where it was bobbling around and messing about with it on the right wing, where it was a poor touch. He overran it. He had to chase that ball, and he ends up tackling the fullback. I think it was Yellart or Deeks for Copenhagen. And the ball fortunately ricochets off Kevin De Bruyne's boot and lands right into the path of Bernardo Silva. And that was another example of high footballing IQ, really intelligent footballing thinking, to just like get it onto the right side. He was the only player switched on. The Copenhagen players weren't on the toes, not to the same level of Bernardo Silva, and he just pokes it over Grabara, who comes flying out of his net to try and stop the chance. But Bernardo Silva's finish was delightful. Such a good finish from Bernardo Silva. And then the second chance was mostly through Phil Foden's third goal. Was mostly through Phil Foden's making. He's the one who slotted that ball. Same sort of pass for De Bruyne's goal in the first half, down that channel into the path of De Bruyne. This time he's forced to the byline rather than giving him a shooting opportunity. De Bruyne's cross is deflected. That was De Bruyne's cross all night. Every single one of crosses that came in from De Bruyne seemed to find the Copenhagen shirt. He didn't have his greatest day at the office when it came to crossing from Kevin De Bruyne. But luckily, this time the ricochet off the Copenhagen defender lands very fortunately to the edge of the 6-yard box. Phil Foden, bang, and that's 3-1. For me, that's game done. I feel like the tie done. Not the game, the tie. I feel like we're through now. And we're now looking forward to the draw, really hoping that Pep can rotate. But I do want to touch on the Ederson mistake as well. As someone who's a big fan of Ederson, I'm always defending him. I know some City fans are not the biggest fans of Ederson. Shot-stopping abilities sometimes brought into question. The level of chances that he concedes, to me, is why it's harsh to judge Ederson on his shot-stopping, because it's not like he has a wall of defenders in front of him. More often than not, Ederson has to save one-on-one opportunities because of how open we play. That it's hard to get your shot-stopping stats up when the chances that are conceded are so clear-cut for the opposition. It's not like 30-yard screamers are coming in and Ederson's having to save a long-range shot. They're coming in from decent range, but there's no mistaking the fact that that was a big error. A huge error from Ederson. Now, the sort of pass that's his bread and butter, more often than not, he'll find the full-back or the centre-back. It was just a bad decision. It was a poor ball from Ederson, completely misjudged. He could have taken a touch, to be honest. I don't know why he needed to do that first time. He'd already played a very similar pass in the first 5-10 minutes of the game that he got spot on. Just whipped it round the Copenhagen player and got it out to Nathan Ake. This time he's trying to do the same, but he completely skews his technique and goes straight to the path of, I think it's Elianusi, who gets his shot away. Ruben Diaz comes flying across, big block from Ruben Diaz, ricochets to Maatsen on the edge of the box, and as bad as Ederson's mistake was, that was an unbelievable finish. Unbelievable finish from Maatsen. From good 20 yards out, 25 yards out, just whips it with the right foot, first time, into that bottom corner. No chance for Ederson to save it, but it's all Ederson's fault as to why he's even got to pick the ball out of the back of his net in the first place. So, really interesting night. I don't think City are playing anywhere near the best level of football right now, but that's great news for City because we're still churning out those results. Now, I was saying in the watch-along, and thanks for everyone who did join me in the watch-along, and drop a like on this video as well if you haven't already. We've got over 140 in the building, and 30 likes. We can do better than that, can we, guys? Please do drop a like on the video. And I was saying in the watch-along that I think Liverpool are much more of a result-based, they're a result-based team. Whereas I think City are a performance-based team, and I feel like I'm struggling to explain what I mean by saying that, but I don't feel like Liverpool go out there too overly focused on how they play, just more what the end result is. And their style of football is kind of like that. They're very direct, you know, and Arsenal are a little bit more like City in regards it matters more how they play. You speak to Pep Guardiola about his teams and how he thinks about his teams, and he wants to see his style of football being played. And even at the start of the season, more often than not, most seasons, the last 4 or 5 seasons, Pep Guardiola has been interviewed at the start after a game that we've lost, whether it be this season, last season, or 2 or 3 seasons ago. He'll say, I'm not bothered. I'm okay. We're playing the football that I want us to play, that I know will guarantee us results at the end of the season. Playing the way we play is good, and I'm happy with it. There's only been a few times where Pep Guardiola's come out and said, I don't recognise my team. We're not playing the football that I want them to play. Now, I still think we're achieving the football, or attempting to achieve the football that Pep wants us to play. I just think we're still missing a little bit of that, just that refined quality in our game to really blow teams away. Because, I mean, we haven't battered anybody this season. It's only 5-1 against Fulham, which was about 7 or 8 games into the season. Can I think of a time where I've gone, not only has the performance been fantastic, but the result's been fantastic, and the two have shaken hands at the end of the game as a fantastic result and a fantastic performance. It always seems to be we play really well. Like against Newcastle, I thought we were so good against Newcastle, and it took a last-minute winner to scrape all 3 points. But we battered them in that game, battered them. I thought against Everton 2-0, there was a bit lacklustre performance, to be honest, and thankfully Everton didn't pose a threat going the other way. Speak about the 4-4 with Chelsea, the 3-3 with Spurs, the 1-1 with Liverpool. We battered all 3 of those teams I've just said, especially Spurs and Liverpool at the Etihad. We battered them. So, by far and away the best side in those games. But the result didn't shake hands with the performance at the end of the game. They were 2 differing scenarios. And that's why Pep comes out after these games and says, I'm not bothered. Because if we keep playing this way over the course of the seasons, it will even itself out and the results will start to shake hands with the performances. And right now, I feel like our results are a little bit better than our performances. Just a little bit. It's not, catastrophic performances and we're lucky. We're not scraping results. We are beating teams reasonably comfortably. I just feel like we're in, like I said in the title, City are cruising. We're cruising right now, and we've got gears to go through. I think we can go beyond these levels that we're achieving. I'm not expecting that first half performance against Real Madrid in the Champions League like last season in the semi-final. Probably the greatest 45 minutes of football I've ever seen in my life, to be honest. Of all the years I've watched City, that was just sensational. Hitting those heights is a big ask. Do you know what I mean? But let's try and get there. Let's try and get close to those level of performances where even the likes of Real Madrid, 14-time Champions League winners, just could not live with us. They couldn't cope. We obliterated them. And that's what this team's capable of. And I want to start seeing a little more glimpses of that. Get a bit closer to raising the performance and taking teams to the cleaners. Because for me, Copenhagen were there for 5 or 6-0 tonight. And if we had our shooting boots on, if we were a little bit more clinical and a bit more potent with chance creation, I feel like that could have been 5 or 6-0. But it all comes from a mistake that makes the game feel even and look even in the results department as well, because they've scored a goal that was gifted to them. And we've got to cut that out, because some of these mistakes that we've made throughout the whole season will come back to bite us. And, Champions League semi-final or even Champions League final, you make those mistakes at that stage of the competition, it's catastrophic and you're out. You're out because you've made a mistake. You can't afford to do that, because last season we were impeccable and we'll need to do it to win this Champions League again. I have every belief that we will. And I feel like the Champions League is that sort of tournament where mistakes do get punished, whereas the Premier League, the quality eventually rises to the top, and whoever wins it always deserves it, always. Whereas the Champions League, you can get that little sprinkle of luck, and or gifted an opportunity. A mistake can destroy your whole campaign, and that's the jeopardy within Champions League football and knockout football. That's what makes people love the Champions League so much, is the jeopardy is so high and makes it such a difficult tournament to win. But I do believe we can do it. I really do believe we can do it, and once again, I'm always ignoring the chat. But good to see so many of you popping in the chat as well. Got Math King up there, Gregory, Michael, Section 20, James, Jersey Boy. Hope your plane journey's all right, mate. I know you were watching me on a plane earlier, so hope you've landed, or if you're still on the plane, mate, I hope your journey's an enjoyable one and not a too bumpy one. And who else have we got? We've got Dennis. We've got Hannah as well. Good to see you all. Thank you so much for joining me in the chat. It's been really good. A great result. And it's like I said, we're done now. I think the tie's done, which is fantastic news. And then now we can go on and potentially rest a couple of players. Just looking at Brahim Diaz there, scoring a goal for Real Madrid. Just looking at the highlights here of RB Leipzig and Real Madrid. Former Manchester City Youth Academy player turning up on the big stage. And what a goal that was from Brahim Diaz. Oh, it's not something you enjoy seeing, a former City player doing so well. But yeah, fair play to the lad. That's a good goal. Right, Blues, I'm going to call it for the night. Fantastic night, really, in truth. 3-1. It's the minimum we kind of expected, to be fair. And I think advancing into the next stages is all but done now. But once again, thank you so much for joining me in this stream. If you can drop a like on the video on the way out, please do. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care, Blues.